Hey Doug, this is William. Will you and Mariah be able to officiate at the virtual regatta?
What day is it? And then
January 4th.
I would assume so, yes, but I will check with Mariah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's 7:30, so we'll go ahead and get started with the TVA Head of the Hooch Coaches and Coxswains meeting. I'm Mike Connors, the Regatta Director, and I'll be running through the slide deck that'll hopefully answer most of your questions. We will be recording the presentation, which should be available shortly after we end. And if you have any questions, please put them into the chat, and we will gather them up at the end of the presentation and try to answer as many of them as we can. So, all right. So again, welcome to the Head of the Hooch Coaches and Coxswains meeting. I want to sit here and show you all of our sponsors that make this possible for us. And please visit Vendor Row. Some of the sponsors do have booths on Vendor Row, and we hope you'll go and visit them during the course of the regatta. This is the 43rd Head of the Hooch. We're going to have 1,250 boats race Saturday, 950 on Sunday. We're going to need everybody's full support to make this run smoothly and on time. Please pay particular attention to the launch times, the launch sequence, the dock operating procedures, and they're all posted at the registration tent. If you don't catch them all here. On Saturday, very important, our start times are 1 hour earlier than we did in 2023. So if you look at the schedule, you'll see that we're going to get a little bit more of a jump on daylight this Saturday. We thank you all for your continued support, and we'll get started here and hopefully answer all your questions. So just a quick overview on the venue map. The big change this year is that I'll call them the administrative tents, the registration tent, weigh-in, awards tent, are all now across the street, closer to the water, shown by the B and C here on the map here. So where they used to be over on the side of the street opposite the water, they're now going to be all closer to the water in the green, grassy area on the other side of the road. First aid tent will be staying at that corner in the same spot it has always been. So when your team buses arrive, this is important. Please note that they will probably be coming down Broad Street. The drop-off location is in front of the Tennessee Aquarium's parking lot, or they can make a turn and head up Chestnut Street and drop you off in front of or just up street from the IMAX Theater on this side where the green bars are. So again, the buses will not be allowed on the venue proper. So this is where you will be able to get dropped off. So make sure your bus drivers are aware of that. Trailer drivers should follow the instruction posted on our website for the best way to access the venue. Our maps on the website are going to give you the best instructions for trailers to get to the venue. The GPS may not give them the most convenient way for trailers to access the venue. So we highly encourage you to look at our maps rather than just go by your GPSs to get downtown. When your trailer gets here, your boat trailer gets here, it must unload, drop off the trailer and leave the venue, leave the parking area immediately. Car toppers can access the venue for 30 minutes on Thursday and for a limited time on Friday. There is no access on Saturday and Sunday. All the details for that are on the website. Any violators that leave their trucks and/or cars on site will be towed or booted. For your boats, please bring sufficient slings for your boats, and we ask you to keep as many of them as you can stored on your trailer when they're not in use. Okay, for the trailer parking, you'll be coming in down here at this point 1, and then you've got parking lots all along the main parking lots here, along the road back here, and then also along the road going more toward the east side of the venue. So depending on when you get here, our trailer folks will get you parked in one of these lots. Okay, note that if you want to leave Saturday evening, we will not allow trucks back on the site till after 7:30 p.m. on Saturday evenings. No trucks can access the site between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. Note access could be delayed after 4 p.m. It all depends on when the last racing is done and all the boats are kind of off the road, things like that. Teams that plan to leave on Saturday night or early Sunday morning, please let our parking control folks know that you're planning to do that, and they're going to try to put you in our parking lot 4, 5, or 6, which will make it easier for you to exit on Saturday night or Sunday morning. Okay. Friday, practice session is from noon till 6 p.m. We will stop launching boats at 5 o'clock on Friday, and all boats have to be off the water by 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, on Friday. All boats have to be off the water by 6 o'clock Friday evening. If you're going to row on Friday and practice on the course, you must obtain a wristband from the registration area, and that will be so that we know that we have all your waivers have been submitted. Okay, first race on Saturday is going to be at 8:52 a.m. The first call for that race will be at 7:50 a.m. As noted on our schedule, which is online now, the first 4 races on Saturday, you will be able to launch either from the launch dock or the recovery docks so that we can help get those boats out there more efficiently to start the day. Same thing on Sunday. First race is at 7:50 a.m. First calls at 6:50 a.m. In that case, the first 10 races of the day can launch from either the launch or the recovery dock. Big thing, don't forget that on Saturday night, we revert back to standard time. So you'll be setting your clocks back on Saturday night. That's why you see that we're going an hour earlier on Sunday versus Saturday, because the clocks go back. So don't forget to set the clocks back. All the boats do also need to be inspected and tagged before they go on the water. We'll have judge referees available on Friday to check boats before they launch. Okay, registration and weigh-in. Registration will be available on Friday the 1st from 11 to 6 p.m., Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then on Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bow numbers can't be picked up unless all the waivers have been completed, so please double check and make sure that all your waivers have been completed so we don't get bogged down with that when you come to pick your packets up. When you come to pick up your bow numbers, try to come with only 1 or 2 coaches. Don't bring the whole team in to pick up the bow numbers so we can keep the congestion and the tents down to a minimum. Weigh-ins will be Friday from 2 to 6, Saturday from 8 to 5, and Sunday from 6 to 10. You can weigh in at any time you like for the whole weekend, but it has to be at least 1 hour before your race. So you can weigh in on Friday if your race is on Sunday. So like I said, you can weigh in anytime you want, but if you're within 1 hour of your race, they will not allow you to weigh in. And coxswains do not need to weigh in for this regatta. Okay, for team tents, Chattanooga Fire Department does not allow us to have cooking in the team tent area. You can have chafing dishes to keep food warm there. Cooking is permitted across the street from the team tent area between the 2 aquarium buildings. So you can set your equipment up over there. You are required to have a fire extinguisher. If you need to take a look at that, if you look at venue map number 8, you can kind of see where the cooking area is for, so you can provide hot food for your teams. No team tents are permitted in the cooking area. It's just the cooking equipment that's allowed over there. Launch times. Okay, the final schedule is posted online already on our website. Aside from the race times, you'll also see that the launch times are on that schedule. This is the time that your crew needs to be at the bottom of the concrete ramp and ready to go on to the launch dock. To be able to run a regatta on time, it's imperative that everybody is at the launch dock at the times indicated on the schedule. As I've said before, in the mornings, both launch and recovery docks will be used for launching. And if you look at the posted schedule, you'll see which events are allowed to do that. We went through that. The final schedule is posted. There will also be copies of the schedule at the registration tent. And then please follow us on our Twitter account and handle there so that you can keep up with it electronically if you don't want to carry the paper around with you. Okay, it takes about 45 to 60 minutes to row up from the launch dock to the staging area at the start line. All boats must be up in the starting area about 10 minutes before your scheduled start time. The announcer will call your race only once, okay? So there won't be a first, second call. It'll only be 1 call to the water. Once that call happens, you need to be starting to head down to the water, and that'll be approximately an hour before your race time. Please note that we're limited on where we can put speakers. On Riverfront Parkway, we've got speakers covering most of the parking lot areas, but we can't put speakers on the west side of the Oljati Bridge or on the east side of the Market Street Bridge due to the residents in that area. So if you are out of shot of our speaker system, please follow us on our Twitter account. Make sure you're keeping up with the launch times. So show some pictures here in a second. All crews will be using the concrete ramp to approach the launch dock. Due to safety and congestion concerns, we have stopped using that aluminum ramp that sits in the middle of the venue. It's still there. Crews can still use that to go down. The helpers for the crews can still use that ramp to go down. But like I say, we won't be bringing any boats down that aluminum ramp anymore. When you approach the dock, all the crews and support teams, we recommend that you wear shoes when you're going on the dock. Flip-flops are not safe. So please have sturdy shoes on when you're going on to the floating docks to launch boats. If this is your first time at the Hooch or you need a refresher, we have a handout that you can download off of the website, and it's on the Coaches and Coxswains page under special instructions. So feel free to download that for some highlights on what you need to know around launching and stuff. Okay, the race operations tent is in the grassy area, and that's close to the launch dock. That's where you'll find the judge referees, the dock master, and the safety folks. Safety checks will happen. They will be checking bow balls and foot gear for all the boats, and then tagging the boats with the zip tie once they've been checked. We will be starting to check boats on Friday at the top of the concrete ramp and continuing that through the weekend. You know, any boats that are checked Friday, Saturday, or Sunday are still subject to any spot checking during the weekend. Make sure your bow number as you start to head down to the water is secure and will not fall off, and that the bib number is on the garment of your bow person and a garment that they will be racing in. Too many times they'll put it on an outer layer, take the outer layer off before they're racing, and then we don't have that bow number on a shirt to identify them. Remember that as you come down to the docks, you must come down bow first. If you come down stern first, that's going to be a penalty, and that's going to really wreak havoc with getting the boat switched around to go onto the dock. So just remember, we're coming down bow first down the concrete ramp. Okay, so on land, the traffic pattern that you're going to be following, as you come out of the parking lots with your trailers, you're going to go onto Riverside Drive, and you're going to be heading toward the main bridge, the Oljati Bridge here. And then you're going to be turning down to go onto the concrete ramp, which will take you down to the dock. We'll go into more detail on launching in a second. But the big thing here is that you're going to be approaching in the right lane as you're heading down that road, going to the launch area. If you happen to be in a trailer that's up on the west side of the Oljati Bridge, you'll be coming down, staying to your left, so that we can then blend the boats in at this area going down to the ramp. One of the things that I need to ask help with is at this point where we have 3 streams of boats that are trying to get to the concrete ramp, please do not get trapped across the road, because there are going to be boats that are also coming down the road that are returning to their trailers. And every once in a while, we'll get a boat that gets stopped if the line gets slow and you're across the road. Everything comes to a grinding halt and it backs up onto the water pretty significantly, pretty fast. So there'll be people there to help direct traffic, but let's also be conscious that we don't get trapped across the road with a shell. All right, so as you approach the concrete ramp, you're going to come all the way to the bottom, and then we're going to bring you through this little horseshoe here to bring you out onto the dock. Again, bow first. The boat will go down the larger ramp onto the center of the dock. All the helpers with the oars and picking up shoes will come in through this little side ramp over here, and then meet up with the crew on the dock and get the oars in place and get the shoes off the dock. This is just an aerial view. As you come down the ramp, you can see what the horseshoe looks like. We usually have this taped off or fenced off, so you can see what the horseshoe looks like as you come out onto the ramp. And again, here is that side ramp that the helpers will use to come out onto the dock with the oars and to pick up shoes. And as I mentioned earlier, the aluminum ramp that sits up here is still in place. It can be used, but not for bringing boats down to the water. As you're launching, as we've said, we've got a large number of boats we need to get out. So we need you to keep moving when you're on the dock. We ask that for singles, doubles, pairs. You only have 1 person assist with the oars and shoes. For a 4 or a quad, should be. We'll have 2 persons assist with that. And for the 8s, you can have 3 persons on the dock to assist. If you arrive at the dock and you're missing equipment and hold the whole thing up, a 30-second penalty may be assessed. There's absolutely no launching from the recovery dock. So we'll get over the hot seating procedure later, but you will not be allowed to launch from the recovery dock. Talked about crew helpers, again, using the side ramp. Do not leave shoes or any attire on the dock. And when your crew helpers leave the dock, they need to exit through that side ramp as well. There are not going to be any repairs allowed on the launch dock. Tie in once you leave the dock. We're going to get you in the boat, get you pushed off. You'll pass underneath the bridge, and then you can consider tying in once you get out off the dock. And even if you want to cross the river and then get tied in, that would be fine. No launching will be permitted with less than 45 minutes before the scheduled race time. There's just not enough time to get you up in a timely manner to the start if you're under 45 minutes before your race time. For local crews, there is no launching permitted from Lookout Rowing Club or Chattanooga Rowing. That facility is pretty much off limits for the weekend with respect to launching and recovery. And also, no animals are allowed on the docks at any time. Traffic pattern starts on the water as you come off the launch dock. You're going to immediately turn to your left and go right underneath the Old Jotty Bridge. The Southern Belle will be parked here on your port side. Go underneath the two arches here, and there'll be two yellow buoys. On the other side of the bridge, you're going to go around the outside of those buoys and then go over to the far side of the river and then head up along the far shore going to the start line. Okay. Just be aware that the current, as you're looking at this picture, is going from your right to your left. So if you start to stop in this area, you're going to start to drift further and further downriver. So we ask that once you get out and across, get yourselves across and start heading upriver. Try not to dilly-dally in this area because it's just going to let you drift further downriver, make your row up to the start even longer. Again, here's just an aerial shot so you can see the boats as they come underneath the bridge, come around the yellow buoys, and then up on this side of the river. Okay, for those that maybe haven't been here in a couple of years, in 2021, we moved our start line 500 meters downstream so that our start is now a shore-based starting platform. So the race course is now actually 4,500 meters. Again, look, overview of the entire race course. As you come through the bridge, you're going to head up through underneath the other three bridges, always staying along what we would call the North Shore, riding along the shoreline to your shorelines on your left side or on your port side. You're going to hug all the way around there. Over just before, there's some power lines that cross the water kind of over in this area here. Let's see them in a picture later. There's also a shallow spot just before you get to those power lines. We'll have that marked with buoys. So just be aware that there is a shallow spot along the water just prior to reaching those power lines. Like I say, we'll have it marked, but you don't want to be too up on top of the shore. There are channel markers that you'll be passing as you go through the river, go down the river. Try to obviously stay clear of those. They do not move if you hit them. So as you get up to the start, you'll have starting markers 1, 2, and 3. The officials will guide you through the starting process once you get up there. All right. If you have any issues on the course, please flag down a judge referee. They're spaced out all the way along the course. They'll be there to help you with any emergency or help with any issues you may have. We do have EMTs on the water near the start line and the finish line. And we do have the Chattanooga Fire Department located in the middle of the course with rescue boats, and they have EMTs on board as well. So try to flag down one of those boats. Sometimes it's easier to flag down a judge referee's boat, especially if you're on the course, and then they can work on contacting an emergency person to get over if that's what's needed. Okay, just a little more detail on the starting area. When you get up here, you're going to see, again, these 3 triangular buoys labeled 1, 2, and 3. If nobody says anything to you, you're going to continue to move right up to number 3. Don't stop here. Don't stop across from the start line. If it's starting to back up, the officials may tell you to stop at buoy 1 and then proceed to buoy 2 and so on to buoy 3. Once you get to buoy 3, you need to be ready to go. Okay, so that means after you pass buoy 3, there's not going to be any time to shed clothes, get water, do anything you want to do before you start the race. So prior to getting to buoy 3, we recommend that you're in your race attire, you've had the last bit of water that you want, because once you cross the river, there is not going to be an opportunity to stop again. Okay. Once you're told to cross the river, you're going to cross over to the south shore and start to proceed down river with the current into the starting chute. Okay, once you get in the starting chute, there's no passing in the starting chute. You should start to bring your boat up to race pace while you're in the chute. Do not stop rowing once you're in the chute. There will not necessarily be any sound to indicate that you're over the start line. You'll know it when you pass the 2 large buoys that are marking the start line. So again, an aerial view here. This is roughly where the 1, 2, and 3 buoys are. You're going to cross. And then, like I say, you'll be coming with the current here. It'll be carrying you through the chute. Start line here is marked. You should be able to see a large red crane that's going to be parked probably a little bit inland, but you should still be able to see that red crane. That is very close to the start line. And there'll be a marker on the side. This barge, at least at this point, there will not be any barges parked here. So you should be able to see where the start line is, and start line tent will be up on the pier right here. It'll look something like this from the water level. That yellow start block is not there, but that's where the start's going to be off of that, just downriver of the red crane that'll be there. Okay, as you come down the race course, so we were just looking at the start line is way up here. The course just makes a large bend around to your starboard side. You're going to come in on this side of the island, and you're going to come through the second arches of all 3 bridges here. So it's not the arch from the shoreline to the first bridge abutment. It's going to be from that first bridge abutment to the second bridge abutment on all of the bridges, as you can see here. Coming through here, through this bridge abutment, this one here, and then the finish line there'll be the big finish line tent, and obviously 2 large buoys marking the finish line as you get into the downtown area. The race course is going to be marked with large buoys. As you know, you're allowed to have your oar blades outside the buoy line. That's not recommended. Our buoys are rather large. You're not going to be able to row over the top of them, so you need to try to stay inside of those buoys. We talk about the yielding and passing rule. We consider it that you are being overtaken if the boat behind you is now within 1 boat length of you. Okay, and if that's the case, then the boat that's being overtaken needs to yield the shorter course to the faster boat that's coming up. Not doing so can result in a penalty. So what that basically looks like, if the blue boat is starting to gain ground on the red boat and is within 1 boat length, the red boat needs to pull out onto the longer course and allow the blue boat the shorter race course. So just like it's shown here, it's the responsibility of the red boat to get out of the way and allow the blue boat to pass unimpeded. Okay, so when we get down to coming across the finish line, getting down to the recovery docks, there will not be a horn at the finish line indicating that you have finished. Just row through the buoys, and that means you have rowed through the finish line. Once you pass the finish line, please keep paddling. You're going to row past the recovery docks. There'll be red buoys on your port side. Do not cross that line of buoys or you'll be penalized. After you pass the last red buoy, look and follow the instructions of the referees and marshals on the water. And as soon as they give you instructions, you're gonna turn towards the docks and then start heading into one of the 2 recovery docks. If you are going to be what we would call hot seating, and I'll explain that to you in a second, we basically call it priority launching. You'll have a priority launch card with you, and you'll show that to the judge referee, and they will expedite your return to the recovery docks. Okay, as you approach the recovery docks, please listen to the finish line marshals. They're going to direct you to one of two recovery docks. We refer to them as dock 1, or the outside dock, or the long dock, or dock 2, the inside dock, or the short dock. So they're going to direct you to one of those two docks. As you start getting closer to those docks, then our volunteers will give you the final instructions to get you into the dock. So please pay attention to those instructions and be aware of the current as you approach the dock. Okay. Do not, as you make the turn, head over to the launch dock. Again, you'll be penalized or disqualified for doing that. You need to make the full 180 and head back to the recovery docks. Same thing as we said before, as far as assistance, one person for singles, doubles, 2 people for 4s and quads, and then 3 people for an 8. Same thing as we did on the launch dock. Use the same number of assistants for on the recovery dock. Okay, so here's just, as you get flagged into the dock here, just understand the current is coming this way. If you get directed to come onto the upstream side of either of these docks, just know that you will have assistance from the current pushing you into the dock. So you should probably aim slightly off of the dock and let the current assist you into the dock. If you're getting instructed into the inside of these docks, you're going to have to point a little more into the dock and have a little bit more speed as you come into the dock. And then you'll hold water, on your starboard side to kind of get you parallel as you come in close to the dock. So just be aware that the currents there probably will not be an extremely large current this weekend, since we haven't had much rain since Helena went through. So we should be in good shape there. Again, we talked about follow the directions of the dock masters, be aware of the current. We went through all that. All right, I think we got all that covered already. Again, here, just a little bit closer view of current and where the docks are going to do. Again, make sure that you go out around these buoys here and then come into the docks. Okay. The dock volunteers will help you move your boat down the dock. We're gonna bring you in as far down the dock as possible to make room for other boats behind you. Please follow their instructions. Please leave the dock immediately. Let's not debrief on the race on the dock. Let's wait till you get the boat off the dock and probably back up to the trailer before you do that. Yeah, just keep moving. We need to keep opening up dock space to get, all 2,200 of the boats we're going to be racing this weekend back in an efficient manner. And be careful of other boat traffic around the recovery dock as you're going in and out. There's lots of boats trying to vie for a position to get in on the dock. As you come off the dock, you're going to either go up the grass ramp or the concrete ramp. We'll show you in a second here which one you're going to choose. And please make sure that a volunteer takes your bow number as you come off the dock. And again, no animals on the docks, please. So as you come up off the docks, either dock 1 or dock 2, you're going to exit here, and then you'll have the option of going either up the grassy slope or up the concrete ramp. Okay. Probably 90% of the boats are going to go up the grassy ramp here. If your trailer is parked east of Chestnut Street, which is where Vendor Alley is, which is right here. So if your trailer is parked anywhere along here or up past here, you're going to go up the concrete ramp. And once you go up the concrete ramp, you'll be able to turn left if you're going up this way to a trailer, or turn right if your trailer happens to be in this vicinity here. Okay, so we want to keep, at least down here, the traffic is all going in one direction through here. If you come up the grassy ramp, you are not going to be allowed to turn to the left if your trailer's over here. You have to go up the concrete ramp and turn this way to come back to your trailer. All right, we just went through all that. Get that covered. Okay, as you return to your trailer, you're going to come up pretty much the grass ramp, especially if you're in one of the parking lots here, the main parking lots, or if you're west of the Old Jotty Bridge, and you're going to come up off the water. You're going to be in the right lane, kind of as you merge onto the road here. There'll be boats coming off the grass here. In this area and here is where we need you to be careful and get into the right lane so you can get back to where you're going. If you're heading back to the boat trailers, you're going to come up off the water. You're going to be in this right lane here, and now you've got to start maneuvering your way over to the left lane so you can get over into the parking lots. And if you're entering off of the green here onto the road, you'll initially be in the left lane, and you need to start working your way over to the right lane. So a little bit of congestion in this area as we kind of try to get into the correct lane for getting either down to the water or back to the trailers. Again, be very careful not to get sideways in the roads anywhere where you stop all the traffic. If we can't keep this moving here, it's amazing how fast this backs up all the way out onto the water if we can't keep the boats moving off of the recovery dock and all the way back to the trailers. Okay, let's talk about priority launching procedures. There is no hot seating per se, so you will not be allowed to come into the recovery dock, swap your crew out, and then send them back on the water from the recovery dock. You will be issued, and you need to pick up a priority launch card. I'll show you a picture of that in a second, from the race operations tent before you launch, if you have the need to get that boat back on the water for another race. We suggest, I'm going to jump to the bottom here, if you don't have at least 90 minutes between the two races, you should not be trying to reuse your equipment. Okay, you need at least 90 minutes between two races to make this work. When you pass the finish line, the coxswain should let one of the officials know that you have a priority launch card, and they're going to try to get you probably to the inside dock, if at all possible. And then you'll come up off of that recovery dock, and then we're going to have you turn. And this picture's worth 1,000 words here in a second. So this is what the priority launching card looks like. You'll pick that up down at the race operations tent. And then this is how this works. You'll come off of the recovery dock. You're going to turn here, and instead of heading up the grass ramp, you're going to make a U-turn here and head down the concrete path here along the water, and we're going to short circuit you back into the launch dock. So once you get off the water, if you're changing crews into the same boat, it's along this thing where you're going to want to pull the crew off and put the new crew on there. They're going to walk underneath the pier, and then we're going to get them right back out onto the launch dock over here. So again, there is no hot seating on these docks. You're going to come off the dock, going to short circuit you right back onto the launch dock. Okay, if you have, without reading this whole slide, if you have any appeals, don't agree with any of the penalties that were imposed on you, you need to come down to the race operations tent and talk to the judge referee, which is the ombudsman, and they will listen to your appeal with respect to a penalty that may have been assessed that you think was assessed incorrectly. If there was any interference you want to talk about, just be aware that time is never going to be taken off of your time. If you say, hey, I was interfered with, we had to slow down, you can talk to the officials about that, but always understand that there's never going to be any time taken off of your finish time under any circumstances. Okay, so again, if you have any issues with penalties that were assessed, you have 60 minutes to do so. After 60 minutes, once that race is over, then that race will be deemed official. So please get your boat put away, and if you have any concerns, get down to the race operations tent and talk to the officials down there right away. Okay, the unofficial times will be posted on here now as soon as each boat crosses the finish line. If there are no unresolved appeals for an event, for at least 60 minutes after the unofficial results are posted, the events will be made official at that point, and then no further appeals will be considered after the results are made official. Okay, the penalties that we most see are dock penalties. If you come down on the dock, we expect you to get your boat very efficiently off the dock. We allow 3 minutes for an 8 to get situated and get off the dock, and then 2 minutes for all other boats to get off the dock. Let's not make us have to assess a dock penalty. Please make sure that your crews are aware of how efficient we have to be on the dock to get all 2,200 boats, launched over this day and a half of racing that we have. Okay. The list of penalties can be found on the website without going through all of them here. On-time starting is expected. Late starts may not be permitted. So again, if you're concerned about what penalties are that could be assessed against you, please go to the website and look up the list of penalties that are there. Okay, trophies and medals. As in the past years, all of our sponsors, we put trophies together with their names on it for certain events. That should be listed on the website as well, which events have a trophy that go with them in addition to the medals. New this year in that area, going back to the beginning of the presentation, that BC area where all the administrative tents are going to be, we now have created an awards pavilion, which will have a podium for some photo opportunities for the medal and trophy winners. So once the races become official, you can send somebody in to pick up your awards, and then feel free to take pictures on that podium. We ask that you only send one representative in to pick up the awards. We will have photographers available in the awards pavilion tent at the following times. You can see here Saturday at 11, 1, and 5, and Sunday at 10:30, 12:30, and 2:30. If you'd like for them to take your picture up on the podium, they'll be there to assist with that. Okay, weather. Right now, our weather looks, knock on wood, very nice for the weekend. We're going to expect, other than maybe a little bit of rain that is in the forecast for Friday morning going till about, I'm going to say, looks like it'll end between noon and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think it's going to be anything severe. We're expecting, high temperatures, probably in the low 70s. Morning temperatures are really going to be in the upper 50s, close to 60. So the weather looks ideal for the weekend right now. As I mentioned earlier, since the hurricanes came through, we have not had any rain in the area. So I anticipate that the current will be very manageable for the weekend. Like I say, if for some reason that changes, we just got some advice here to make sure you go out in layers. And again, if you go out in layers, just a reminder that make sure that the bib number is on the racing layer for your athletes. Please make sure you stay hydrated over the weekend. One of the biggest things we deal with from an EMS perspective is dehydration. Even if it's overcast and it's not real hot, you still need to be taking on plenty of water over the weekend. So we ask that coaches keep reminding your crews to stay hydrated over the weekend so we can minimize the amount of time we have to deal with dehydration issues. Even the wind for the weekend is looking pretty good for Friday and Saturday. I think max winds are 5 or 6 miles an hour. On Sunday, a little bit stiffer at about 8 miles an hour. All should keep the water very rowable for the entire weekend, it looks like right now. I mentioned the current already, so I anticipate that the current is probably going to be well below 20,000 cubic feet per second, which is extremely manageable for the regatta. So expect almost ideal conditions. I'm knocking on wood that none of that changes all around, from the weather to the current to the wind for the weekend. Some last reminders, at the risk of sounding like a broken record. This is your regatta. Let's make it fun and enjoyable. We have a busy schedule to get through. Be ready to launch on time, have your oars ready, have your crew ready to go. Don't waste time on the docks. You know, keep moving, keep moving. That's the name of the game on our docks. Don't risk missing your race by rowing to the start line in pairs or fours in bigger boats. It does take 45 to 60 minutes to get up to the start area, depending on the skill level of the crew. When you get over and around the bridge and you're heading up, I advise that you get to everybody in the boat rowing as quickly as possible and make your way up to the start line. Don't forget, you can download the instruction sheet for the coaches and coxswains. It's online. And I think we may have some at the registration tent as well. All right, one other thing just to touch on is we will have, as we've had for the last couple of years, the virtual Head of the Hooch will be January 4th this year, 2025. We've got 59 different events that you can race as individuals or in doubles. That'll be time teams platform will be set up to do that again as we've done in the past. We will have some para athlete racing. It will be a 2,000-meter race. Medals will be awarded to all the winners. We will have a Concept 2 Model D erg that will be a random drawing for all the competitors that join. And NK will donate a speed coach for one of the events. We'll determine that event in the future. And then Easygoing Rowing and Sidious Remax will randomly select 4 individual competitors and 2 doubles teams to be awarded their seat pads. You know, all funds that are raised for this event will be donated to charity. So all this is on our website. Registration is now open and will be open till December 30th for that event. And again, I want to thank all our sponsors and thank you for attending this year's Head of the Hooch. And with that, I will first open it up to any of the Hooch committee that's on. If there's anything they need to add, first I'll see if Doug Jones, our chief referee, needs to add anything. Doug?
No, just have a good time out there. Be safe. Listen to the judge referees that are on the water. They'll help guide you and get you up there and safely to start your race. So just pay attention. And also just a reminder, any emergencies come up, definitely flag one of us down so that we can come and address your concern.
All right. Thanks, Doug. William, anything on the docks? William's our dock master. Anything I missed on the docks?
I think you covered every aspect of it. It's just imperative that the crews remember to bring those boats bow first. Remember to check the equipment. We have boats that have come down without seats, without shoes. Yes, they've gone through, they've been checked, but somehow along the line they seem to mistake it. Don't let you be one of those crews that come down without all your equipment and your rows and your oars.
All right, very good. Chris Lemke, our registrar. Chris, anything from your end?
No, there were a couple of questions in the chat, but it looks like Buck was in there answering a bunch of the doc questions to begin with. There was one question that just came in about GoPros on the boats for recordings. And Doug, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. GoPros are fine to have on your boat. However, they are not used for appeals in any way. They cannot be evidence.
Correct.
Yep. And one other question here from Peachtree City. Just a reminder that if you need an inhaler, to remember to bring the inhaler in your boat with you.
Yes, yes, and yes. Especially that inhalers, if you have anybody that's diabetic in the boat and needs to have, you know, extra sugar with them or whatever the need is, please make sure all your athletes have whatever medical devices or stuff they need to handle any of their medical conditions. It'd be great to have that in the boat as well. So,
and then just one last one that rolled in here is asking about launch docks for recovery at the end of the day, and that is true. Once we're done launching boats for the day, we'll switch to use all docks for recovery.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, so just FYI as a follow-up to that, there will be finish marshals down there that will guide you, and if as it gets crowded, or they'll direct you to the recovery dock, which one they want you to go to.
Ulrich, who's the president of Friends of the Hooch. Ulrich, anything you need to add?
Just one quick one. I think we had some real dedicated volunteers this year that built some additional boat trees. So you'll find some new boat trees. I think about 40 of them, in addition to what we typically have on hand. That should help you store your boats if you're not able to store them on your trailers.
Excellent. All right. We all clear, Chris, on questions?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, listen, thanks, everybody. We appreciate you supporting and coming to the Head of Hooch. Please travel safe, and we look forward to seeing you all this weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.